Well, hey there, and welcome back to The Explainer. So usually we're diving headfirst into, heavy research papers or these massive, sprawling data sets. But today we are doing something a little bit different. We're taking a micro-analytical journey right into the gateway of a digital educational experience. Specifically, we're looking at the interface framing a complete sixth-grade math course on ChatGPT. Think about it. We click through digital menus and login screens literally dozens of times a day, usually without even a second thought. But what actually happens when we hit pause and just freeze that moment? What does the literal architecture of an entry screen actually tell us about modern learning? Well, let's dive in and find out. Right off the bat, the very first instruction buried in the underlying structure is a standard accessibility feature. It just says skip to content. And honestly, it's pretty ironic, right? Because a student who's staring down a whole math curriculum probably wants to do exactly that, just fast forward straight to the equations and get it over with. But today, in this explainer, we are going to do the exact opposite. We are pulling out our magnifying glass and closely examining this very threshold. Because you see, before you ever solve a single fraction or equation in the sixth grade course, this interface is silently setting the rules of engagement behind the scenes. Okay, let's dive into this first section: the digital threshold, and navigating the ecosystem. Let's think about the core navigational hierarchy at play here. It's remarkably minimalist, sure, but it's also highly, highly intentional for a learning environment. First up, we have New Chat. Now, this represents the ultimate blank slate. It's essentially the digital equivalent of cracking open a brand new notebook to a fresh, crisp white page. It's your foundation. Then, moving on, we have Search Chats. This is your navigation tool, your ability to actively seek out past knowledge. And finally, Chat History. This is just an absolutely crucial tool for a student because it essentially acts as an external memory bank. I mean, imagine studying, say, sixth grade fractions on a Tuesday, and then a whole week later, being able to instantly pull up exactly how you and your AI tutor worked through that exact problem. It's a total game changer. Together, these three simple elements don't just form a basic menu, they literally construct the student's entire cognitive architecture within the platform. Moving right along to Section 2, Advanced Tools and Pricing. Let's see what is hiding under the hood here. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is the clear delineation between what's freely given to anyone and what exists exclusively behind the velvet rope. On one side of the fence, you have your standard utilities, right? Things like settings and basic help tools. These are exactly the features you'd expect for just customizing your basic everyday experience. But then, on the other side, there's this locked premium tier. And this tier promises massive computational power and deep research capabilities for those who choose to upgrade. It's fascinating because it perfectly maps out the geography of a modern freemium educational tool. It shows you exactly, literally exactly, where the basic threshold ends and where the really advanced capabilities actually begin. So the crucial point here is wrapped up entirely in this single, incredibly powerful sentence: get responses tailored to you. Now, I really want you to stop and just think about that for a second. In a traditional sixth grade math class, you've got one textbook, right? One textbook and one teacher for maybe 30 different students. The curriculum is totally static. But this interface, it is promising the exact opposite of that. It's basically shifting the entire educational paradigm from a passive, one-size-fits-all broadcast into a highly active, totally customized dialogue. Which brings us to Section 3, the personalization promise. This acts as the ultimate hook. And this brilliantly illustrates the mechanics of that transformation we just talked about, all laid out in a simple three-step progression. Step 1, of course, is log in. Now, that's the physical act of committing to the process, of actually opening the door to the classroom, so to speak. Step 2, get answers based on saved chats. As we discussed earlier, this is where that contextual memory kicks in. The AI is actually going to remember your past struggles with, say, long division or geometry, and it will actually tailor its future teaching to your specific history. How cool is that? And then we hit Step 3, create images and upload files. Now, this is absolutely massive for a math student. It means you aren't just stuck typing out complex equations. You can literally just snap a photo of a really frustrating worksheet, upload it right to the platform, and have the system visually break down the solution for you. It is full-blown multimodal learning, and it's all clearly laid out right there at the entry gate. And that brings us to our final thought for this explainer. We've spent this time meticulously breaking down the door, looking at the menus, the hierarchy, and those big promises of personalization and memory. We've seen firsthand how a seemingly simple login screen actually sets the entire stage for a very modern kind of interactive learning. But at the end of the day, an entry point is just that. It's a point of entry. The interface is just the key to the lock. So the ultimate question remains, are you ready to log in? Because if the developers were this intentional about just the threshold, well, just imagine what kind of incredible math discoveries actually await you once you finally step inside. Thank you so much for joining me on this analytical journey today, and I really encourage you to keep questioning the digital spaces you interact with every single day.